In a world obsessed with speaking, silence becomes a weapon. And in Machiavelli's world, where power wasn't given but taken, silence wasn't weakness. It was strategy. Most people believe power comes from presence, from talking, from being heard. But Machiavelli knew, the more you speak, the more you reveal. And the more you reveal, the easier you are to predict, to manipulate, to control. Words become a liability the moment they're used carelessly. He didn't see silence as passive. He saw it as controlled, measured, intentionally empty, not because there's nothing to say, but because there's everything to protect. Silence preserves mystery, and mystery breeds curiosity, respect, even fear. The person who speaks constantly is easy to read, but the one who says little, the one who listens without reacting, who watches without explaining, who withholds their opinion until the entire room has spoken, that person owns the tension. And in Machiavelli's world, tension is leverage. Silence creates space, and in that space, people fill in the blanks. They guess your motives. They over-explain themselves. They expose more than they realize, while you say nothing at all. It's not that silence makes you powerful on its own. It's that it keeps your power contained until it's time to use it. So let them speak. Let them show their hands. Let them believe your stillness is absence. Because when words are currency, silence is wealth. And power? It belongs to the one who can afford to say nothing. Power doesn't belong to the loudest voice. It belongs to the quietest mind that sees everything. Machiavelli knew this. In any room, the one who listens longest learns the most. While others posture and perform, the observer studies. And by the time they speak, they already know who holds what cards. Most people rush to be heard. They interrupt. They assert. They try to win the moment, without realizing they're giving away their position. But the one who waits, watches, listens, that's the one shaping the game. Silence sharpens perception. It lets you feel the rhythm of the room. You learn who's bluffing, who's insecure, who needs attention, who has something to lose. And with every passing moment you say nothing, they say more than they should. Machiavelli wasn't interested in being right. He was interested in being effective. That meant gathering information before taking a position, letting others reveal their strategies while he sat still, unmoved, invisible in plain sight. The quiet observer isn't passive. They're precise. They use patience as leverage. They create space for others to overstep, overshare, overplay. And once you see clearly, you don't just play the game, you control the tempo of it. Reading the room isn't about reacting. It's about staying still long enough to see the truth underneath the noise. And once you see that, you don't need to raise your voice. You only need to choose your moment. When people can't figure you out, they can't control you. Machiavelli understood that clarity makes you vulnerable, predictable, attackable. But mystery turns you into something else entirely. A question no one can answer, a force no one can pin down. Power is rarely found in being understood. In fact, the more people believe they know your intentions, the more they think they can outmaneuver you. But ambiguity changes that. It creates fog, uncertainty, doubt. And in that doubt, they hesitate, not because you've threatened them, but because they don't know what you're capable of. This is psychological warfare in its purest form. Say less, show less. Keep your motivations hidden, your moves quiet, your energy unpredictable. Let them make assumptions. Then use those assumptions against them. Machiavelli didn't preach transparency. He preached survival. And in his world, the person who's hard to read becomes hard to reach. The less you explain yourself, the more powerful your presence becomes. Because now, every word you do, say, carries weight. Every action, intention, every silence, strategy. Ambiguity doesn't mean dishonesty. It means discretion. It means you're not here to be decoded. You're here to be effective. So keep your cards close. Let them wonder. Let them invent their own stories about who you are and what you're planning. Because the moment they think they know you, they've already lost. In every conversation, every negotiation, every confrontation, there's a rhythm. And Machiavelli understood this better than most. Power doesn't belong to the one who speaks first. It belongs to the one who speaks last. Timing isn't about delay for its own sake. It's about understanding the flow of pressure. Let others talk. Let them argue. Let them fill the silence with nervous words and shaky logic. While they scramble to be heard, you sit, still, patient, unmoved. Because you're not just listening, you're studying. And the longer you wait, the more power builds, not just in perception, but in reality. Because by the time you speak, you've heard everything. You've seen every weakness. And your response? It lands like a verdict, not an opinion. Machiavelli warned, never interrupt your enemy while they are making a mistake. And that principle applies everywhere. Don't step in just to be part of the noise. Step in when the room is off balance, when the pressure has built, when your silence has made them unsure. Then speak, clearly, simply, directly, and the moment belongs to you. In silence, you learn. In patience, you gain position. In timing, you dominate. Because when you control when you speak, you don't just win the moment, you reshape the entire board. Sometimes silence protects, sometimes it conceals, and sometimes silence misleads, more powerfully than any lie ever could. Machiavelli didn't fear deception. He understood it as a necessary tool, but he knew the most effective form wasn't loud or obvious. It was quiet. It was suggestion without statement, omission instead of invention. Because here's what most don't realize. People are uncomfortable with silence, so they fill it. They assume. They project. And often, what they imagine is more powerful and more useful to you than anything you could have said yourself. Say nothing, and people will speak for you. Say little, and others will reveal too much. The less you clarify, the more others guess. And every guess is a window into how they think, what they fear, what they want, what they believe you'll do. You're not lying. You're letting the silence do the work. And often, what unnerves people most is not what you say, it's what you don't. The unreadable calm, the quiet smirk, the gaze that doesn't flinch. Because in a world addicted to reaction, silence becomes a mirror, and most people are terrified of what they see in it. So don't rush to fill the silence. Let it stretch. Let it make them uncomfortable. Let it turn the space around you into something they can't define. Because when your silence makes them speak more, reveal more, fear more, you've already won. And you never had to say a word. Silence is not the absence of action, it's the preparation for it. A coiled wire, a loaded spring. Machiavelli knew this. The most devastating move is the one that's been building in stillness, and when it finally lands, there's nothing left to defend against. You don't stay silent forever. You stay silent until it matters. And when it does, you don't just speak, you end the game. Because by then, you've heard everything. You've seen the patterns. You've let them underestimate you, overplay their position, grow bold in your quiet. You've watched the room lean toward noise, distraction, weakness. And when the moment's right, you speak. Not loudly, not with flourish, but with finality. One phrase, one decision, one truth delivered without apology, and everything changes. That's what silence buys you. Not attention, but authority. Not performance, but precision. This is where Machiavellian strategy separates itself from mere cleverness. It's not about being cold, it's about being exact. You don't act for show, you act for outcome. And when the time is right, you don't hesitate. You break the silence like a blade, clean, fast, and irreversible. The game isn't won by those who shout the loudest. It's won by those who wait until the room is leaning forward, unsure, searching, and then drop the word that settles everything. That's the move they never recover from. That's how you stay silent and win. If this spoke to the part of you that's done performing and ready to move with precision, subscribe to the channel. We're not here to make noise. We're here to move in silence and strike when it counts. Stay sharp, stay unreadable, and play the long game.